Welcome to selfdiscoveryradio.com, where the orchard of wisdom is just ready for picking. We celebrate your why, the journey that you've taken that inspires someone else. We support your services, we support your story. Come and be our guest, become a host, be an author with us. Come and see what we've got. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Their Story Matters and Raising Our Gifted Children. I'm your host, Sara Troy, and my wonderful gentleman I'm interviewing today is Rob Scheer. This is the third time back, and when you hear this interview, you'll know why. You'll go back and listen to the other shows, and I promise you, he will worm his way into your heart and to your soul and to your consciousness. And today, though, we're going to be talking about yet another achievement of his, which is his brand new book, The Forever Family, Fostering Children One Child at a Time, or Fostering Change One Child at a Time. And we were meant to do this show the other day, but technical issues wouldn't allow us to do that. And then the book arrived the next day. So I love that divine intervention when it comes in. I was glued to the book. I couldn't put it down. And boy, did it open my eyes. There are shows that I do that always stay with me. There also are people that I bring up on other shows as reference, and Rob is one of them. I've spoken about him a great deal, so his ears must have been burning a lot. And it's because he's this ordinary guy doing something extraordinary. He started this wonderful project called Comfort Cases, which are beautiful backpacks for children, foster children, who are being shifted from one household to the other. They used to be in a plastic, garbage bag. That was what their life was resulted into. He gave them the dignity of a comfort case. Went on Ellen DeGeneres. They gave him a good heavy checks, and now it's suitcases. But he hasn't stopped there. One person saw the need of the change, and he went with the change. The comfort cases brought attention to other things, the whole foster care system, and now he's got coming up in the new year a university for foster children. We're going to talk about all of that. But first, the book, and why this book has got me so stoked. After interviewing him a couple of times, I thought I knew a great deal about him until I read the book and I really understood where he came from. There are so many shows I do here on people who have had a traumatic upbringing. And I will say the common denominator of everybody's disconnect in life comes from that inner child trauma, neglect, abuse, many other things that go on with children that never get dealt with, that really do dictate their path in life. And reading this book and looking at the traumatic, tumultuous, and violent and abusive childhood that he had, I really, honest to God, don't know how he's as sane as he is, but it's because he was willing to take the journey. He's made his mistakes. He went down the wrong roads. He had no self-value. He didn't know how to be loved because there was always a consequence from it. He was never taught how to love. And it was a long journey for him to get to that point, to place that self-value and self-love on him. And then he was ready to meet his husband. And once he met his husband, life changed completely. Then the foster care children came into the picture, which completely tugged at both of their hearts. And they fought tooth and nail as white homosexual couple fighting for Black children to be in their home and eventually to adopt them. So we know he's got the fighting spirit. He survived that incredible upbringing where I think most people would have been completely flattened or gone down a totally different path. And he took the journey to get where he is today, to write this book, to have 4 beautiful children that he's given hope and love to, and a forever family to, with the comfort cases and the university. So folks, I don't care what your background is. If there's love in your heart, you can make a difference. And this guy has. So let's dive right back in. Hello, Rob. Welcome back.
Thank you so much first of all, that was amazing to hear. It's like, but thank you so much. Thank you for having me back.
It's always a pleasure, and I do talk about you a great deal. As I said, the ears must be burning, because I love, when people, despite what their upbringing is, you've gone through your journey, you've gone through your own demons, but you were willing to do what you needed to do to kind of find that self-discovery of love within you that then took you on a totally different path. You may have gone through your phase somewhere along the line of bitterness and resentment and a lack of forgiveness, but the fact that you have stepped up so much to fight for the children that get left behind, that just get lost in the system, the throwaway kids, just like the plastic bags. You know, it's the fact, I don't think you would be such a fighter had you not had the background that you had.
You know, I have to agree with you on that. And I hear people say to me all the time, why did I write the book? You know, why would I write this story? And it's very raw, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And the fact that I had decided that when it was time to write the book, that I was going to peel the onion back every single layer, no matter how many tears I had to shed. And by the way, my husband can tell you there were many nights where I was in a fetal position, reliving, you know, but at the same time, if you read this book, it's a love story.
Yes.
It truly is a love story. My husband is my everything. He is not only the most amazing father that anybody could ever ask to have, but he's also the most amazing partner, the amazing friend, and the most amazing human. And he brought all that out of me.
Yes.
See, I already had it in me. I just didn't know how to get it out.
No.
And he did that. And so, you know, it's 14 years we've been together, and I tell him all the time, you know, as I'm jet setting here or there, that I come home and he reminds me every single day that, you know what, I do this for these 4 beautiful children that we have. And so, yeah, so it's been an amazing journey, and the journey's not over though. The journey's not over. You know, it's so funny. Someone says, well, Rob, now that you wrote the book, what are you going to do? I was like, gosh, there's so much left to do. This year alone, 30,000 children are aging out of the system. 70% of them will be homeless. You better believe we have a lot of work to do. You know, you talk about the university and how excited I am, and I haven't had the opportunity to tell you this, and you'll be the first that I told. All of the funding fell through. None of the states wanted to come and say, we will help to accreditate this. It is the once again cycle we see with kids in care. You know, we do nothing but give them, we take them from foster care to the penitentiary. And they would rather invest that $60,000 a year to put them behind bars than to invest in their future. So I'm still fighting that fight.
I'm alongside of you.
And we're going to make a difference for these kids.
It's just a setback or a redirect, you know, because maybe the funding isn't meant to come from that. Maybe it's meant to come from the consciousness of the people, and the people will drive that other funding. As I've said, if we look to government for things, we're never going to get things done. But when we look to each other and raise that consciousness into what can we do, even $1. You know, 60,000 people with $1, right?
You better believe it. And by the way, these are your kids. These are my kids. These are our kids.
That's the societal problem that you talk about, is everybody's kids. It's all part of the human race. What happens with them is a direct reflection on how we let them down or what we did or did not do for them. Right? We're all responsible for our own actions in life. And, you know, Reese, your husband, you know, as you pointed out in the book, had you met him earlier, you would have sabotaged that relationship completely because you hadn't yet found self-love. And coming from, you know, I have to say this, it keeps reliving the scene of you 3 kids kneeling on the floor with your parents drunk playing Russian roulette. That just gobsmacked me. And it's like, how does a child get over that? How does a child learn empathy or love? We know narcissism comes from a child not igniting the frontal lobe of empathy and caring. How did you turn out to be such a caring person when you were not shown an ounce of care?
Yeah. And I will tell you, first of all, I believe children are resilient, but you also have to look at the fact that I got lucky because my other brothers and sisters, they didn't make it. They didn't make it. I have one sister that I'm very close to because of this book. This book brought us so close together. She's an older sister, and she lacks so much of that. And it's because she was never shown that. And, you know, and even though I wasn't shown that, I really feel there was a fire inside of me, and I wasn't going to let the fire die. And that's the thing. I think so many times as kids, we let that fire die. It's a lot easier to let it die. And I saw that with my siblings. Wasn't going to happen to me. And even though, you know, as you said in the book, there were many roads that I went down that I shouldn't have gone down. But you know what? Every single thing that happened down that road made me to who I am today.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
made me who I am today. And, you know, would I do it over again? I would hell hope not.
No. Well,
But
I mean,
you know
it's
what?
take the same wisdom now and go back. Yeah, no, we're not going to take
Yes,
the same
yes.
path. But
Oh my
with
gosh,
what
yes.
you knew, you know, but then, you know, you were, I mean, I'm going to point out, you went through addiction. Um,
Yes.
quite a lot of addiction for a while. And, you know, having done so many shows on addiction, and this needs to go onto the addiction genre as well, you know, addiction comes from a lack of, you know, a lack of self-worth, a lack of inner love, a lack of feeling loved at all, you know, a lack of meaningful purpose, a lack of belonging. So all that lack, you know, we go searching for it in other ways, and you know, pushing the envelope, you know, trying something else to either numb it or escalate a feeling because you're so in apathy. So yes, addiction, it's not just people, you know, there are the recreational ones, lazy, you know,
Yeah.
opulent children, even they have their own lack of, but we are looking at addiction as a lack of something, and it's an escape, or it's a seeking of something that's going to make you feel.
No, I agree. And you know, I was looking for that, and
Yeah.
I was looking for that in any way that I could find it, whether that was through drugs, whether that was through, you know, the abusive relationships
Yes.
that I went through. Um, I was looking for something that I was missing,
Yeah.
and but then at the end, it was what I was missing from me,
Yes.
inside of me. You know, I talk about the one part of the book that it really sticks out is the day that I went to my mother's grave
Mm-hmm.
and I forgave her.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that was such a free moment for
Mm-hmm.
me. Um, it wasn't about her. It
No.
wasn't about, you know, it was such a moment in my life that said, wow, I have the power, you
Yes.
know. And I think people who suffer through addiction and suffer through mental illness, a lot of that is because you do not feel you have the
No.
power. And
No.
you know, I tell people as I've been interviewing for this book, do not think that just because I wrote this book that I still don't have my demons,
Right.
because
Yes.
I still do. The
Yes.
difference is I'm facing them, and I'm facing them head on, and I'm facing them with an amazing partner.
Right.
And so, you know, since the book has been written, you know, and I say this, I'm very open about this, and I have fallen down that well since in the last 2 years with depression, where, you know, something happened traumatic in my life, and it put me down this deep well, and I stayed there for a couple of months, and it not only scared my husband, it scared my children, it scared myself. But
Yes.
what it did teach me is that the rope that is put down that well to pull me up,
Right.
I just had to grab it.
Right.
You know, I just had to
Yes.
grab it. And I
Mm.
grabbed it and I pulled myself back up and I put my big boy pants on and I went and faced it. So
Right.
again, you know, I don't think you ever get rid of the demons.
No,
I
you
think
don't.
that you have to learn how to deal with them. And you also have to put people around you.
Yes.
God, this is really going to make clips. This You have to put people around you that love you
Yeah.
unconditionally.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm not just talking about, hey, I like you. I'm
Right.
talking the love in your heart that, you know what, doesn't matter. We're going to get through this together. Yeah, you might have made a mistake, or yes, you know, maybe you didn't say the right thing. If you truly love within your heart
Yeah.
unconditionally, there's nothing you can't get through.
No. That is truly loving from the inside out.
Yeah.
Right? You know, that's loving the core of
Yeah.
somebody. And when you love
Yeah.
somebody from the core, from the very heart, the very soul, the very spirit, whatever the exterior does, and you know, we're human, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to fall down those potholes now and again. You know, we're going to go and do something stupid because that's who we are. But you know, it's not about somebody condemning you or judging you. It's just reminding you of who you are. And because they see you from the inside out, they can show you, and that's a way back.
No, I agree. I agree. And I'm very lucky that I've had some of those people in my life. But I also will let you know that I've lost a lot of people since this book was written. People that I talk very highly about in the book who I haven't spoken to now in almost a year, nor have they seen my children,
Right.
because they can't face their own demons.
Right.
You know, I forgive. I'm a true believer that forgiveness is
Yes.
such a strength of your inner core,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean you forget. You
No.
forget
No.
and you
No.
move on, and you also have to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I said this to my mom just a year ago, and I haven't spoke to her, and I talk a lot about
This
her.
is the adopted
But
mom, by the way, folks. So
that's correct.
so people up to date.
This is my foster mom that I talk a lot about. I haven't spoken to her in a year, and and neither have my children. And the thing is that she has to forgive herself, because I have forgiven her. I praise her in this book.
Right.
She helped save my life.
Yes, exactly.
And so, she will go through her path the way she needs to go through it, just as I will go through my path the way I need to. Doesn't mean I love you any less.
Right.
It means that maybe right now it's
She's probably not ready yet to accept. The thing is that it's so easy, especially as a mum, to go in and feel guilty about things that you've done. I mean, I've got 3 beautiful, stable children that are nowhere near went through what any of you went through. But I still now and again kind of, if only I'd done this, if only I hadn't done that, if only I'd done that. And, as a parent, we do. And when, of course, somebody writes about it, it's not that you're putting any blame on her. What you're doing is actually showing the situation she was in, that she was reacting to, and that she wasn't equipped to be able to do anything more for you. Like the first time, I mean, this is also something, let's talk about, you brought it right up at the top of the show. At the age of 18, that's it. No more subsidy, no more help. It doesn't matter if the kid's in the middle of a school year. You haven't prepared them for out there. They can't go and get a job. They're still at school. They can't be at school unless they have an address. So this whole thing about
Isn't that crazy?
I know. I mean, finish off their school year, right? Make sure they're graduated. Maybe give them another couple of months grace to get a job, or are they going to go into university or something, right? Not just like, well, you're 18 now, it doesn't matter, you've got 6 months of school to go, you're out. And the reason people kick them out, folks, is because they no longer get paid for it. So they're not going to do it out of the love of their heart.
Yes, and you're right.
They're doing it because it's extra money. So yes, I mean, we know the system is broken, left, right, and center. We also, no policies are going to change unless we are the ones that insist on the change. So people are what bring about the change, not politicians. We change the politicians.
I agree. And the fact is that this is happening every single day. Every single day, children are becoming homeless. The difference is it's harder to see a homeless child than it is an adult, because they blend in more. And so, and I've gone around the country and I've talked to kids who have aged out of the systems, or kids who, by the way, haven't even aged out of the system, but for some reason they have fallen through the cracks.
Right.
That was a simple, typical me.
Yes.
Falling through the cracks. The moment that my parents died, and the moment that my then foster mother, and let everybody make sure that we understand the definition of a foster parent, is someone that you're living with that is not your biological family. So that can be, a neighbor or whatever. That they all fall in the same category. But the moment that she walked into that school and said, "This is Johnny's new address," for me, this is Robert's new address, a red flag should have popped up. Well, where's his mom?
Right.
Where's his dad?
Right.
Why are you, as a stranger, coming to enroll this kid into a school?
Right. Who the hell are you?
Who are you? Who are you?
Yes.
And we see that happening over and over again. Foster care is actually a gateway to human trafficking. It truly is. And it's
the amount of abuse and the sexual abuse that goes on with foster children. It's almost like it's permission for foster parents. This is a foster child. I can do with them as I want.
I can do with them as I want. If in my book, I talk about, my children who talk about the pink medicine, that they remember the pink medicine. So as they sit in a foster home, someone who is not even they're related to, they remember being given pink medicine. Well, we find out years later that pink medicine was Benadryl. It was to get them to fall asleep so they didn't have to deal with them.
Right.
That is so typical in our system.
Yeah.
And
that and nursing homes as another one like that.
But why are we not having accountability?
I don't know.
Why? I don't get it. I said this to you before, Sarah, we've had this conversation. 4,600 kids in the United States are missing in our foster care system. 4,600 are missing. Why do I not see that on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, whatever you want to watch? Why am I not hearing about that?
Yes.
Why?
Why is this not a crisis? As I've said before, from doing another show on sex trade, $150 billion a year worldwide on the sex trade, $150 billion a year. If that is not a crisis, if this is not a disease, if this is not something that is destroying us, I don't know what is. And it's in the foster care, it's in sexual slavery, sex trade, it's in, I mean, oh God, it's in so many places that people think, oh, it's not there. It's just runaway children. No, it is not.
Yes,
Right?
thank you. Thank you. I'm so tired of hearing the fact that, oh, well, they ran away. Okay, well, if they ran away, why aren't we looking for them?
And why did they run away? Why did they not feel safe enough?
Exactly.
Right.
You know, I hear a lot of people will tell me, oh, because they're too grown for their britches, or they don't want to follow directions, or they don't want, you know what? These kids have had a life that none of us could imagine.
Right.
Okay? None of us could imagine. And we're going to sit there and make that type of judgment on them.
Right.
Maybe if we made them feel wanted, maybe if we made them feel needed, maybe if we actually showed them a path to a future, you know, these kids don't see that. They don't see a path to a future. I was giving a talk the other day and someone raised their hand and they said, well, wait a minute. We live in a state that pays for college if you're a kid in foster care. And I said, oh, yeah, that's right. I said, do you realize how hard it is to get that done? Do you realize the number of applications that need to be filled out, the SAT scores that you need to go obtain? Do you realize that you then have to find housing? You have to figure out. I was like, these are children.
Right.
Why are we not? We should be doing that for them. I mean, I know, for instance, when my daughter, she's now 14, she's going to be 15 next year, you know, she already has taken the pre-SAT testing. And, you know, my husband and I have been preparing for my daughter to go to college since the day she walked into our home.
Right.
She will be prepared for that.
Right.
These kids don't have that.
Wait, not only that, they have such an interruption in their schooling. You know, when they're shunted from one home to the other, how many of them even complete a year or are behind on all the education? Because, you know, they're not up to, quote, par, you know, they're just not being taught. They're not being helped with difficulties. And many of them, never mind the emotional difficulty, they have learning disabilities that nobody's recognized. Oh, they just put it into a troubled child or a child with, you know, issues, you know, and just playing up. No, this child may have some need for some help. Yeah. Right.
You know,
and
I agree with you.
It's just not there. And we know we're not going to put the, you know, the thing on the teachers or on that, because we know that they're underpaid and understaffed and there isn't enough support for them. It's again a broken system. And it's a system that we would rather spend more money on wars, we spend more money on buying politicians than we would in putting into our children.
Yep. You know, today I was talking to a teacher, actually, speaking of teachers. She was a teacher. She's now no longer teaching. And she said there was a girl in her classroom who was doing real poor, and she would keep her after school, and she couldn't figure out, you know, she was doing so well in the classroom, but then she wouldn't get her homework done. So finally, the girl went to the teacher and said, I have no electricity.
Wow.
I've had no electricity for months. Why would we not know that about this child?
Why did that child not feel safe enough to say something?
Safe enough to say, hey, my family needs electricity. I mean, we have forgotten the fundamental basics of taking care of each other, of why our community was built. We're so concerned that our community is our zip code, that we live, you know, and it's not.
No.
You know, I live in an area where you go a mile down the street and these houses are, you know, $10 million homes. And I think to myself, you have no idea what's going on 4 blocks away.
Right.
Where, you know, they're barely able to put food on their table. You know, we need to realize as human to human, we must help. And to me, it's helping every kid that's in our system, because the system is shattered.
Yes. I mean, it's not just the foster children. We're seeing so many kids, quote, fall through the cracks because there's trouble at home. You know, the parents are going through downsizing or this or you know, divorce. You know, there's just too much trauma in a child's life. A child's life should be about exploration. It should be about wonderment. It should be about fun, learning to care, learning to see themselves from the inside out, learning to be participants in, you know, in life. But they're so busy just trying to survive the next moment, or avoid that beating, or avoid that sexual prowess of somebody that's in trust, or wondering where their next meal is coming from, or are they going to get bullied by the other kids in the foster home or in their own home or at school because their clothes are in tatters and dirty. I mean, we are such a judgmental society. Instead of stepping up and saying, there's something wrong, let us put it right. Right?
Yes,
We'll
let's put
point
it.
the finger. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that.
I
Oh,
agree.
you know?
I agree. And the thing that, I look at our neighborhood, for instance, it's, sometimes I wonder when's the last time a neighbor spoke to a neighbor.
Right.
You want to talk about children who do not feel safe.
Yeah.
Children why did she not feel safe enough to tell someone she didn't have electricity? Because we have forgotten again the fundamentals of a community.
Right.
We don't talk to each other anymore. Yes. We're too busy looking down on our phones. Mm-hmm. We don't go and, we had a neighbor who recently passed away, and to me it was automatically, let's send some food. We don't do that anymore.
No.
We really don't. We're so within our circle of taking care of our own.
We've become very narcissistic.
Yes.
We have, and where, we know that there's somebody in power that's an extreme narcissist, but we have started developing narcissistic behavior.
Yes.
And that yes, of course, oxygenate yourself first. Be stable and secure yourself, because the more you have to give. But it's not like, it's mine. No, I got it. It's all mine. You can't have it. No, it is like, you can only eat so much. You can only have so much. Whatever you've got left over, share it. Because that's really where the true abundance is, in sharing. It's not about handing out. It's about handing up, giving somebody else the value of life to help them get back up on their own feet and find their own abundance.
I agree. I agree with you. It was one of the same reasons why I wrote the book was, I want to show my kids that, as leaders, we have to be doers.
Yes.
We have to be doers. And I hope that my kids, look back and say, gosh, my dads truly were doers. They just didn't talk about it. Yeah. They just didn't stand up on a pedestal and say, oh, look at me. They actually rolled their sleeves up and they were doers. Because I think that if we all take that philosophy and we all are doers, we can change this world. We can change this country. I've said this to you before. We are all a pebble. And if we throw the pebble in together, the wave that we will cause will be so large that will be non-stoppable. Right now, we're all individuals, and we must come back to being whole.
Right. I mean,
look at our
wave.
Yes. Join the wave. And no matter how big that wave is, you've got to be a doer. You got to make a difference.
Yes. I used to say the new activism is actionism.
Yeah.
We know what's wrong. This is what's wrong. But where's the action?
Yes.
Let's step into actionism. And you may stay part. You started off by just one ripple. And that ripple grew, right? And look what it is now, right? And you've invited other people to that ripple effect, to that wave, that movement that you've got going here. Again, as I said, ordinary person doing extraordinary things. Everybody say, oh, but they're a celebrity, or they're important. You're important. If you believe in something, if you think something should change, step up and do something. I don't care if it's an inch, if it's a yard, if it's a mile. You have no idea how far that's going to ripple out. Unless you step up and start doing something. We can't walk around with the blinkers anymore. We can't walk around and say, it's not my problem. Yes, it is. Those children going into incarceration, those children turning to drugs, those children turning to guns, those children, turning to whatever other crimes in life because they've been thrown away and that's all they know. Because believe me, a criminal will pick them up and train them.
Of course.
A criminal will teach them how to be killers and dealers and everything else.
You're right. You're exactly right. I mean, you look at when people say to me all the time, why do kids go to gangs? Well, they're looking for a sense of family.
Yes.
They're looking for a sense of belonging.
Yes.
A sense of being accepted.
Yeah.
Maybe if we would do that, I say it every time, when a child enters the system is the day we should start teaching them.
Yeah.
Not wait until right before they age out. No. The moment they walk into the system, we need to start teaching them. We need to start teaching them how important they are. They are. You know, I see the statistics show that, you know, girls who enter the system, that more than 74% at this point, by the time they're 21, will be pregnant. These are
Mm.
not bad girls. These
No,
are girls who have
they're caught
never been
up.
taught,
Yeah.
yes, but they've never been taught to love
No,
themselves.
no. I'm, as I said, fundamentally, everybody goes back to that inner child who doesn't know how to love, right? You look, the journey that you took before you found Reese, you had to go away and learn to love yourself before you went into yet another relationship where you were the one giving all the love and accepting all the abuse because that's all you thought you were worth. You had to go
Yeah.
make your own self-discovery. And, you know, I don't care who you are or where you are on the planet, we all have that responsibility to find that self-love, that self-value, and our meaningful purpose on this world.
I
That
agree.
is an inside job, and we cannot run from it or hide from it or take substance to avoid it. This is our life's journey. It's stepping into our own strength and courage to go, okay, I don't care if I'm screwed up, or if I've made wrong decisions. Clearly, I've made them from a wrong place. What do I
Right.
need to do to make it from a different place and place love and value upon myself? How can someone else value you or love you until you value yourself?
That's true. That's true. And by the way, you don't have to have money to do that.
No,
I,
God,
I
no.
really get
No.
tired of people saying to me, oh, they're celebrities. No, we're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
We, you know what, there's many times we live paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
There's many times, you know, the fact is that we're lucky that we have a farm that gives us eggs and you know, that's this whole, you have to have money to
Right.
make change. That is not true.
You have to have
You can
love.
make it, exactly. You
That's the
have to have
currency.
love.
That's the
That,
currency.
that is the currency.
Yeah.
You know, it truly is the currency. And you have to start, as you said, loving yourself.
Yeah.
Finding that moment and love yourself and then let it grow.
Right.
Let it grow.
Yes.
And that is the key. You know, for me, in the book where I talk where I leave, and I actually did leave the area for a while to find myself.
Right.
And I realized that, wow, I really like this guy.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to, everybody deserves that. And whether you're just going to the public library to sit to get that inner core, or maybe you can take a job transfer like I did, you know, you still have to, you have to find yourself.
Yes.
Because if I had not found myself and loved myself, I would have never been able to love my husband.
Right.
I would have never been able to build my family with 4 amazing children if I had not gone through that part of the journey.
Right. And the thing is about your husband is he's an incredibly equilibriumed guy,
Yes.
right? You know, he's the center core. You know, my daughter just got married, and, you know, I was describing their relationship as a tree. They have developed their relationship where they're firmly rooted. The core of the trunk is very strong. And as they branch out in life, they'll be able to weather any storm because of that flexibility. Reese is that core for you. He is that root,
yes.
which allows you to branch out and do what you need to do to bring attention to this cause.
Yes, yes, I agree. And, you know, I will tell you, most people will be surprised. Reese just read the book.
We hadn't read it before.
No. You know, it was hard for him.
Yes.
It was hard for him. It was hard
to see you in that light.
To see me in that light.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard for me to watch him read it.
Right.
And, you know, when I was doing the audio book, I asked him, did he want to come and listen to me produce this audio book? And because I was personally reading it, and he couldn't. And, you know, but I, as I said to you earlier, it's a love story.
Yeah.
It's a love story. It's not a tragic story.
No.
It's a love story that I hope people take away something. Each and every person takes their own thing away. You know, one of the chapters in the book called Roger's Gift, which is one of my favorite chapters next to my husband, Reese, the chapter Reese, but Roger's Gift, which truly shows how we love unconditionally, how one person in your life can truly make a difference. That was Roger for me. Yeah. You know,
he was a no-nonsense type of guy, right? It just simply is, you know. And so, you know, he didn't kind of buy into any drama or any trauma. He just saw you for who you were and reflected that back.
Yes. And I remember, you know, and by the way, Roger would have had a birthday not a couple of weeks ago. He would have been in his 90s. And I remember his last day that he died, and telling me to remember my promise
Mm.
that, you know, I would breathe in, that I would
Yes.
take, that it
Yes.
was okay
Yes.
for me to take. It was that moment in my life. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
and as you know, I say, I was quiet during that time, but I was getting stronger.
Right.
And that's what you must do, each and every person, is get that inner core of strengthness.
And the thing is, you know, let's touch on the advice that he gave you. He told you to stop giving and start taking. Right now, for a lot of people, it's, you know, I'm a victim of that. True blue, constantly give, in the thought of taking. Oh, you know, I'm not worthy, or I can't take without giving twice as much back. You know, well, how will people perceive me? You know, the whole thing that you go through. But what I've learned is, perhaps I changed the word. I learned to receive.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that.
And that took a while. That took a while. You know, I couldn't take from people unless they freely gave me. But whereas before, no, I don't need. I learned to receive and look upon it as a gift coming from them to me.
Gosh. Wow, that was that light bulb moment that, wow, I love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah,
It's a
you
hard
learn.
thing to receive when you don't feel any self-value.
Yeah.
But then it's all of a sudden other people are seeing something in you. Oh, why would they be gifting you?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like,
Wow.
well, if they can see that in me, why can't I see it in myself? And you know, there's always that dialogue, isn't there? That inner core that says, but you are love, you are this, you are that. And then the head goes, no, you're not, shut up.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And by the way, no matter what, even if you got a book out there, no
Yeah.
matter what,
No.
you have that.
that,
You know,
that little demon noise, you know.
that little demon noise, you know. And it's, you know, and I say this quite often, just because you went through that journey, okay, doesn't mean that the journey didn't happen. I have
Right.
people say to me all the time, well, that's your past. You shouldn't. No, that's part of me.
No,
That's part of me.
your past is what propelled you forward in the directions that you've taken in life. You
Right.
went down this path, didn't work, that path didn't work. You know, Einstein, 1,000 light bulbs. You tried many, many paths until you realize, okay, I've got to stop taking a path where I'm running away. I have to take a path where I can meet myself.
Yeah. And you know, I will tell you, that's a really hard thing to do.
Oh, I
I
know.
just want all your listeners to know that that is a really hard thing to do. And there are times I still want to sometimes run.
Yes.
And again, you know, here goes my husband again,
Right.
who's like, you know what? We're going to face this head on. We're going to face this head on. And I think that, you know, I look at my children and my kids are getting, you know, matter of fact, Sarah, we just celebrated our what we call gotcha day for our two oldest
Mm.
kids of when we signed their adoption papers. But in January, we will have celebrated 10 years that our
Wow.
children walked into our lives.
And what a gift for them.
You
I
know,
mean, you know,
well, a gift for us.
yes.
You know, my daughter is 14 now. My son Makai is getting ready to turn 12. My son Grayson is 11, and our youngest baby in 2 weeks is going to be 10.
Right.
He was 6 months when he arrived in our
Mhm.
home, and I look at the four kids and I think to myself, you know, this is so all worth it. This is worth it. You know, because look at them.
Yes. And you know, a lot of people think, well, you know, I have to have my own kids. You know, once that
Oh,
kid is in your home, it's your own kid.
oh
You
my
know,
gosh, I wish you could meet my son Grayson. Sarah, I'm telling you, if Grayson wasn't a different shade of me, you would think he was my biological kid. Him and
right,
I are
right.
so much alike. I mean, we are so much alike. We could even finish each other's sentences. We are so similar. He's my 11-year-old, and he is, I mean, like I said, he was cut out of the same
Mm,
mold as me. He
right.
is me. Everything I see about him. Last night I was in his room I mean, and he's me. He
Right.
is his dad's son, and I love every moment of that.
Right.
I
And you know,
love
I'm a
every
firm
moment.
believer that even before a child is born, they're chosen. You know, they choose you as the parent, for good or bad. Because, you know, as I believe in soul contracts, we sign a contract, we're here to do something. And even though you had a tumultuous life of neglect and lack of love and torment and torture and everything else, because once you read the book, you go, oh my God, when you see all of that. But it was for you to find that courage, that strength, that purpose to become who you are today. And through that struggle, know the need to fight for others. And, you know, whether if you found the love through another foster parent or for your own parents, or you've given it now to your children, and they are the ones that are going to carry this forward. The thing is there are no mistakes. There's only opportunities. And when a child is placed in our arms, whether it's, you know, we've birthed or whether we've been gifted in other ways, that opportunity to be the very best parent, to be the very best unit, is ours for the taking, to make us beautiful as we can. And when we step into a child's aura and we see things, how they receive things, we just see how beautifully simple love is. And if we stay in that aura of love, we can weather anything along the way.
Wow.
But that love is always the orb that keeps us together.
Oh my gosh, you're so right about that. I mean, you are so right about that. And I will tell you, this journey, and the fact that I've been able to have this journey with you, and
Yes.
you know, you and I have, in my opinion, and this is just me saying, I do consider you my friend.
I do too.
Because
I do
we
too.
both have had this journey where you have watched this
Yes.
small little puppy pop out, and now
Mm-hmm.
look at how we've grown. And,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
and the fact that, you know, as you said in the beginning, that you thought you knew me and then you read the book.
Right.
I've had
Yes.
a lot of people say that to me,
Yeah.
that, you know what, we thought we knew you and then we read the book.
Well, because we see your courage, we see your strength, we see your passion and your conviction and your tenacity, and you know, the desire to change the system. And yes, you were a foster child, but no one knew that story. And in knowing that child, I mean, you became a foster child because you went to sue. Read the book, folks, you'll find that out. But you should have been in foster care so much earlier.
Oh my
The
gosh.
abuse of your parents so much earlier. Should you have been taken away from your parents? I mean, talk about dysfunction. And, you know, two broken people who have absolutely no idea how to raise children, but, you know, churning them out. You know, there, for someone to have had that kind of story and be who you are today, is kudos to you for placing the value on yourself and allowing yourself to take the journey, and then allowing yourself to be ready to receive Reese that became your tree trunk and your core, your roots, that allowing you to branch out in life. We're all looking for a Reese in our lives. Hey, I'm looking for someone like that I can trust. Believe me, we're all looking for that. That's someone that looks at us and doesn't see the flaws we see, doesn't see all the issues that we have, that sees our very orb of our heart, our soul, and our spirit, and loves that.
Yes.
Right? And that is what we all look for in life, whether it's a child, whether it's a relationship, and whatever we look for in life. And it's the fact that you were gifted, Reese, was because it was now we're preparing you for the next part of your journey.
Yes. And I'm so excited about the next part of our journey.
Yeah.
You know, people keep asking me what's next, and I don't know what's next. You know, I've thought about, you know, throwing my hat in the ring in a political way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, you know, we're so done with the red side and the blue side.
Yes.
You know, that maybe we need somebody who's a little
rainbow
purple.
side, a rainbow side.
Exactly. You know, so, you know, my husband and I, we've talked about that, you know, about what's the next step for the Scheer 6.
Mm-hmm.
We do things as a family, and we make decisions as a family. And, you know, and for us, it's like, okay, right now the books come out, and, you know, we're all trying to digest that. And now we're going to see what's next for us. And who knows?
If you do go down the political arena, I tell you why it's so right for you at this time, is that we are witnessing, I'm in Canada, but, you know, the horror show that I'm seeing over in the States is, you know, was a Gong show. You know, now it literally is horror. We are seeing things of opulence and of greed and of, you know, misogyny and narcissism and just downright lack of humanity. That now people coming out with the honesty in your book. Right? Anybody trying to dig up dirt on you? It's already here, folks.
It's all there.
Right?
It's all there.
And people are ready to see, you know what? If he can go through this, If he can go through this kind of upbringing and step in to his light and step forth and fight for the forgotten children and fight for them tooth and nail, despite your demons chasing you, hell, this is a person I'd like to elect because I know he's going to fight, right? And this is the thing I think we're getting, especially amongst millennials, is like, who cares? The fact that you've struggled, the fact that you know what it's about, the fact that the passion and the conviction, the strength and the tenacity is there, you are a person to stand up for. Because you're not somebody that's hiding behind some sort of Ivy League or ivory tower or delusional thing. You are a person of the people who knows what it's like. And so you will know how to serve them. Those are the kind of people we need to see. So yes, please run. I'm endorsing you from Canada.
Thank you. I love that. And I love the fact that what you just said, a person of the people.
Yes.
A person of the people. And where have we not heard that?
No.
We need to be a person of the people. I'm not always, and if I decide to do this, I'm not always going to agree with whatever party that decides they're going to take me in.
A new party.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. Don't jump into the sewage pit. Create your own pond.
And I think a lot of times what happens is that we forget that it's for the people.
Yes.
It's for the people. We just had an election here, and my book came out the day of the election. And people said to me, oh my gosh, why would your editors, why would Simon & Schuster and Jeter Publishing have your book come out the day of the... And I said, because our country needed this book. Our country needed this book.
It was a reminder.
It's a reminder. And I want people to know that at the end of the day, children who really need us do not care whether you're blue or you're
black,
red.
white, pink, polka dot, yellow.
Who cares? They don't
care about your action.
Yes, your
right?
action.
Yes.
Your actions. And if you can't do that, then you know what? You're not a person for the people. So, so Sara, I don't know what will happen. Hopefully you'll have some listeners that'll want to reach out and say, hey, let's talk to this guy about that.
Yes.
I don't know what the next step is, but I truly do believe that I cannot just close the front door. I have now opened this door, and I have a voice, and I need to use it for children of all ages.
But it's not just you, it's Reese, who obviously prefers to be in the background as, the roots they're coming home to. But your children are a part of this. They're already the activists, the actionists, as just by being chosen by you, by showing the benefit of how to invest the children and who they are and what they become. Because your children, when you first got them, had issues, they had problems, little Michael biting and hiding food, but then of course the little one just being a simple sweet baby who just wanted to be loved, right? And thank God you got him in time, right? But we have so many children, they're troubled, or they're too much trouble. What I'm actually seeing right now, have you seen that there's this new movie coming out on foster children?
So it's called Insta Family.
Right.
And my husband and I are going to the premiere tomorrow.
Wonderful.
So
fantastic.
We have been asked to come to the premiere.
Excellent.
So we will be attending the premiere tomorrow. We're very excited.
Yes.
One of the premieres is being held at the Air and Space Museum in DC. And so Reese and I, we have where NBC is coming to do a show on us, and then we're leaving and we're going to see this amazing movie that we're excited about it. I'm a little nervous, it's based on a comedy, and I don't want, I just, like I said, I'm going in with an open mind.
Well, the thing is that we know that sometimes when we have permission to laugh at something, we actually walk away with the depth of understanding better. If you go in too heavy with a documentary, for some people it's like, oh gosh, too much.
I agree.
They go in and they laugh about it, and then they come away with, but we're laughing, but there are children out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good approach to do that.
So I was given a couple of the show actually sent us a couple of clips that I was so happy with, because they really did show, they're going to show in this movie some really hard times that, some things that you and I have talked about in the past of kids pushing back.
Yes.
And they do talk about that. So I am happy to see that there's a little bit of, it's real, but also, this is based on a true story as well.
Yeah.
And So yeah, so I'm excited. I will send you an email and let you know what I thought.
Yes, please do. Actually, no, you know what? I would actually like you to write a blog. And I'd like to put the blog up on that of what you thought of the movie.
Okay.
And you know, perhaps some poignant points that people could actually take away from it.
Awesome. I will definitely do that.
Excellent.
I will definitely do that.
Well, you know, you and I aren't finished. Are far from it. And I still believe the university is a done deal. We've just got to get the finances behind it.
I agree.
And, you know, and you're going up under my selfdiscoverycommunity.org, which is the philanthropist side of my business. And I want to see a lot more interaction with what you're doing. And you know, just doing a great deal more to just bring about the awareness whatever we can. And so I've got some ideas, so we will talk about that. But you know, I invite people to go back and listen to the other shows, because the first one is I saw you on Upworthy and I thought, this is cool what he's doing with the comfort cases, I have to interview him. And then the next one is like, you know, you've been on Ellen's show and you've expanded with the cases, and this was like, what's happening next? And now the next one is the book. You know, I know that every chapter with you is just going to be something else extraordinary, which is wonderful. But as I said, from reading the book and seeing what you went through, you know, I mean, as I said, I'm a spiritual counselor myself. Everybody that is having a hard time with life and with self, it comes from an injured child. And we have to remember that if we want citizens out there that are productive, that are caring, that are participants in the world, we have to invest in them as children. If not, we have broken people out there constantly searching for a place to belong, a place to love, looking at it in all the wrong places. And they're finally getting, if they're lucky, to the place of self-discovery. But so many not only fall through the cracks, but they fall into the grave because they just can't handle it. Suicide, drug overdose, murder. I mean, no, folks, these are not exaggerations. And we've got to stop looking at us as a human race as disposable. I'm doing a series right now under Eco Solutions, Let's Get Synced, where I'm interviewing leaders around the world, business people around the world that are changing things politically, but changing things the climate emotionally around the change of climate, not just our physical climate, but the climate, the way we treat people. And every single one of them is talking to people, planet, profit, instead of profit at the expense of people and planet. And this is what's being taught in industry now. This is what people are changing the whole dynamic towards. And when we start investing in the people and the people are happy, they're going to be more productive. They're going to be friendlier to the planet. They're going to be friendlier towards one another. And we're going to see production like we've never seen it before, because it's coming from people who care, not people who are just trying to survive.
I agree. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's people helping people, and that's what we need to make sure happens.
Yeah. So. And you know, your kids have been lucky enough for you to get them right young. But as you said, all those 18-year-olds that are now being thrown away, they're still young children inside. They are not equipped for out there. This is when they get taken advantage of, and the gangs are on the street, or, you know, other people that take advantage of them. And yes, they may be angry. Yes, they may be bitter. Maybe they're even a little violent. That doesn't mean you throw them away, incarcerate them where they're going to learn that skill more. This is where they need the love more, the caring more of your patience, more of you showing them that you're ready to listen. Yes. And as you said, we've become a society that's on the phone and not listening. We need to get back to listening, to caring, and to understand the global problem is our problem.
And loving.
Yes.
Loving. Yes. You said it earlier. Yep. Loving. We must.
Yeah.
Because that is one thing that these kids feel, is that they're not loved. You know.
But not loving, you know, like loving something and hoping that they're going to love you back to feed you.
Right.
There is, you know, it's like, come with your abundance of love because you've been willing to do the work. Right? You've been willing to do the work to bring that honest love from your inside out. I don't care. I'm a porcelain doll that's extremely cracked. A lot of pieces being put back together. Right? But I still bring all of me and all my love honestly to the table. And when we do that, the child feels it.
Yes.
Right? They don't want, it's not the words, it's the feeling.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. It's the feeling more than anything.
Yeah.
Words are just words
Yeah.
unless you have somebody who can feel it. So,
Yeah.
Sarah, as always, I learned so much from you, and I
Oh, from
can't
you.
thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. I hope your listeners go and get a Forever Family, fostering change one child at a time. Proceeds of the sale of this book helps our charity. We still we don't have any corporate sponsors, but we now have delivered 42,000 cases
Excellent.
in 41 states, and we've also delivered in DC and Puerto Rico. And so, by your listeners reaching out to comfortcases.org, they can link there where to buy the book, and we just continue to hope growing this friendship.
We're stepping in, although giving should be 12 months of the year, but we're stepping into the giving zone. All right. What a beautiful gift to give a family a donation on behalf.
Thank you.
Right. If they're Joneses, I'm not going to give you another useless this or a useless gift basket. I'm going to give you a donation on behalf of your name to the Comfort Cases. I'm going to buy this book for someone who needs to read it, to actually understand the system, how broken it is and how it can be fixed, and how one person decided to step up along with the love of his life to make a difference, right?
Yes.
How love won, love prevailed.
Love. Listen, I loved you.
And ditto. So it's
comfortcases.org, comfortcases.org. If you go there, you can link on to how to help your community, which is my community, which is our community.
Yes.
Purchase our book. Look at things that we've done lately. Figure out how you can help. Even Canada, no matter where you're at. I've been dealing for the last year with 2 organizations in Canada that are bringing Comfort Cases to Canada. So it's all over. It's all of ours.
Right.
We all must change. So comfortcases.org. And again, Sarah, thank you. And I'm excited to write that blog about that.
Yes, please. And updates, as I said, you're going to be
featured.
Self-discovery, community.org, and we're going to platform you there and just keep everything going, because what you're doing is extraordinary. And, as I said, I talk about you a lot. You're very warm in my heart. And again, after reading the book and knowing the struggle that you had and to who you are today and what you're doing. And thank you to Reese for being your rock, for being your heart. And because without him, how could you do it, right?
Yes. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And folks, remember, we are the difference that we all seek. So let's step up. One tiny ripple. You never know what a beautiful tsunami we can create. And let's do that. All right. So until next time, bye for now. For more wonderful shows like this, please go to selfdiscoveryradio.com, podcasts, and see our lineup. And if you wish to support us, we have a funded button. Please stay tuned for our next show.